Hello, and welcome back to the Everyday Trainer podcast. My name is Meg, and I am a dog trainer. Today, I am once again joined by Shane Murray. We're here to talk about all of his life updates over the past year, what he's got going on, and what we've got planned for you for the future. So, you know the drill. Grab yourself a tasty drink and meet us back here. This is a good one.
Let's do it.
Hello. Welcome back, Shane.
Hello. I always get like confused on the. I'm like, do I look at the camera or do I look at you? Like,
I can't look at the camera because I feel like it's two very different things, being on a podcast and recording video, because when you're recording video, you're very worried about like how you're looking or like how you're being perceived visually. Whereas like, I feel like with podcasts, I like to have the headphones because it's like a very different thing that you have to pay attention to.
yeah.
Like I have to pay attention to like what I'm saying and how I sound. So I can't even, that's a whole other world that I can't even acknowledge.
I feel
just
like
yet.
when I look there, I'm like breaking the wall. And I'm gonna start talking to the people.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at you, I feel like I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
A little different. But yes, Thank you for having me. Welcome back to California.
Thank you. How have you been? What have you got going on?
Good. Very busy. I've started to do some new things within my business. So I can't remember if I was doing board and trains when you were here last time.
I don't think you were.
I can't remember, but I'm offering board and trains now. However, I typically don't do the board and trains.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel a type of way about this, but I've learned that I don't necessarily love doing board and trains with other people's dogs.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the private sessions. I really enjoy like making the owner the trainer.
Yes.
And yeah, that's something new that I've come to find out. However, I have an amazing trainer. Her name is Kate. Best trainer out there, in my opinion. A little biased, but
yes.
Best trainer out there.
No,
and
she's very good.
Yeah,
I said,
dude,
hold on to her. She's
yeah, even Oscar, he was like, hey, bro, watch out, man. I was like, nope, dude, she's mine. Like, but respectfully, Kate, you're not mine, okay? But like, I will not let you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she loves doing it, and so she's been offering it, and it's been going really, really well.
Nice.
I feel like I honestly, like when I pitch my board and trains, like when I do the eval or the consultation over the phone, like I'm almost trying to get them not to do a board and train.
Yes.
Like I'm like, listen, like you may not need a board and train. So like there's only like a select certain amount of clients who are kind of like, you know what, like I don't have the time to meet up with you every week, or I don't have the time to put in the necessary foundation with which is totally okay. All right. Like some of these dogs take consistent work every single day, and some people don't have the time. And so what are you going to tell them? No, we'll give the dog to somebody. No, you're going to try to make it happen. Try to keep the family together, the dog in the home, right? So I'm trying to pitch it, and I'm like, listen, maybe we could just do private sessions. But there's some clients who are like, like I don't have that time.
No, I literally, I talk about this all the time on this podcast, is that like, I do not like board and trains for so many reasons. Like, it's not that the program is like bad in itself. It's just
very
like,
helpful.
Yes. It's just like, one, not for everybody. I don't think everybody wants to send their dog away, you know? And like, if you don't want to, like, you don't have to,
right.
You can do lessons and like other things. So I'm usually,
they're super attached. I've seen people like,
I know.
It's super hard.
That's why I like have those conversations. I'm like, look, I don't think you want to send your dog away, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We can do private lessons, or like we can do daily trainings.
Right.
It's literally, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you get dogs that it's like, hey, this would be so much better if I did a board and train because it's really gonna suck.
Yeah. Some dogs need a crash course. Like some dogs need 24/7. Like
it's really
around
gonna
a trainer.
be a lot for you to try to like behavioral mod through this.
For sure.
Like
especially
full time job.
Yeah, like they're in the apartment complex, elevators, staircases, and like they react as soon as they see it. Like some of the places aren't ideal to do good behavior change. Right.
Have you like learned anything specific since doing board and trains though? Like having both sides of training?
In a sense, yeah, I don't want this to sound wrong, but in a sense, sometimes I'm like, okay, like this is kind of easier than like I thought, in the sense of where like I haven't had a dog that I've trained every single day besides my own dogs.
Yeah.
And then I got a first board and training. I'm like, okay, 2.5 weeks in, I'm like, you're a brand new dog. And this isn't taken away from any owners or anything out there, but the value of having an actual trainer be the one with your dog 24/7
well,
is super
you do
efficient.
that for a living. You know, it's like, I always use the analogy of paying an accountant to do your taxes. I'm like, bro, if I try to do my taxes by myself, like I'm literally going to jail, you know? So like, it's just so much more efficient. You know that you're not doing the wrong things when you pay an accountant. It's the same thing with dog training, you know? Like, I have done this for the past 7 years, so I hope that I'm a lot more efficient than you are. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like, than the owner.
No, for sure. As you should be, right?
Yeah, I
say that one all the time. They're like, wow, they look so good with you and you're doing it so well. I'm like, listen, if your dog doesn't look better with your trainer, go find a new trainer. Yeah. Because the dog should absolutely look better with the trainer for majority of the time. Yes. Right? And that's something that it's like, I don't think there's God-given talented dog trainers. I think there's people who's trained a lot of dogs really well and people who haven't. And I tell it to the owners. I'm like, listen, like, yeah, I'm good at it, but that's because I do it a lot. So guess what? If you just do it a lot, you're going to get good at it too. Like, it has nothing to do with like, oh, well, you got the special talent for it. Yeah. I feel like people don't understand, just the general population cannot fathom how much time you spend training your dogs. Like, yeah. Like, we were talking about this last night. I was like, you train your dogs more than literally anybody that I know. You are the one who people should be going to for dog training, because like, I have yet to meet other trainers that train as much as you do. I was on TikTok and I was like, bro, like, Shane is on live again.
Shane is literally on live training his dog.
About to meet up tomorrow to train dogs.
Yeah. I'm like, we just left training. We just left training dogs, you know, and you're like, training dogs again. And then you wake up like you are literally always training dogs. Yeah.
But I feel like that's where the passion comes. It's like,
oh yeah, no,
like, I wouldn't amazing. Rather it any. That's the only way I could always do it. Like, that's the only way. If I didn't have the passion, then no, it'd be too much. It'd be a headache. But
yeah, and like your community too. So your online training, you literally have everything. Yeah,
and that's something that I started doing
so
too.
Many videos of you training dogs. It's like hard to keep up with.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to be careful with that, because sometimes it could get a little overwhelming.
No, not even just that, but it's like, how could any other trainer do that, you know? Yeah. I mean, I feel you could do it, right? And like, I believe this whole, I used to watch a lot of Gary Vee. Yes. Right? I used to watch a ton of Gary Vee, and one of the big things he would say, he'd say, you're not lazy, you're unmotivated. Yes. And like, because when I did my construction job, dude, I fucking hated it. I would work hard just because, like, I feel like anything you're going to do, might as well do it right? Yeah. But towards the end, I was like, man, fuck this. This is torture to me. Like, I hate doing this, shoveling concrete, breaking concrete. Like, I hated doing it. And so, like, I would just be so lazy there. But I did find out that started following me elsewhere. Then I started getting lazy in my dog training. And then I was like, holy shit, lazy is becoming a habit of mine. But once I started, like, really doing all the dog training, I have never felt like that. Yeah. Of course, there's some days where I'm like, man, like, I'm tired. I don't really feel like training my dogs tonight. But for the most part, I'm like, yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm super motivated. That you should be the person that everybody's learning from. Yeah. And it's one of those things. And that's where, like, I get so much heat online for, like, you know, using my tools and stuff like that. And a lot of people, like, they feel like there's, you know, one way to train a dog. And I'm like, I just don't think you've seen enough dogs. Because I have seen so many fucking dogs where, like, things I thought I believed aren't true anymore, because I've just kept seeing new and different dogs. And you cannot sit online and comment on what other people are doing, because you are too busy actually training your dogs. What a wild concept there. Like, I actually got dogs to train, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I think the passion goes along with it, but I think at the same point too, I also kind of made Slim a little crackhead for training. Yeah, for because sure. I trained him so much, and that's where Oscar was like, bro, next time get 2 fucking puppies. He's like, you want to train so bad, just train 2 different dogs.
I was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. You know, you're making sense, right? But there's definitely a pitfall that you could fall into if you're training dogs too much.
Yeah.
Right. But no, I just
This
love
is a
it, dude.
thing. This is a thing that people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I come across a lot of them, and I'm like, you need to
even just pet owners.
You're doing too much.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, 5 walks a day, and we play fetch for 3 hours. Yeah, and I'm like, hey, like, I don't think your dog needs all that. You know?
So you were like that, like a million training sessions a day, like whole life revolved around your puppy.
Yeah, that's it. But again, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
like I enjoy it, and that's why I would do it so much. Right, but I think you lose out on like the pet life.
Yes.
Where it's like, hey, let's just go on a hike. No, let's focus heal. You know, and it's like sometimes I miss out on that part. And honestly, like honest to the universe, like some of my favorite moments with my dogs is when we're just off leash walking a giant park or walking, you know, hiking or something like that. Like that's what, like when I see them jumping off the shit and chasing each other and like grabbing a stick, I'm like it feels really peaceful. And I'm like, I'm not struggling on your focus here. I'm not trying to fix some shit. I'm not trying to perfect something. We're just kind of like existing.
That's what you need to do with that one dog.
Yeah.
You just need to exist with it. You're trying too hard.
Yeah. No, it happens. It happens.
It's kind of funny because I feel like we say all the same things around like dog training. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be that complicated, you know, as long as you have like the basics, like your marker words and, you know, your leash pressure and like where we correct the dogs and like when we would correct the dogs. But we are kind of like opposites as far as like trainers go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it
like you love obedience.
Yeah.
You love obedience.
Yeah.
I dread obedience. I'm like, no, let's just go for a hike.
Like, no, it's a sport dog training.
I don't want to do SIG. It's so boring. It's so like repetitive. It's like a very different pace.
But I think a big part of it too is like offering something to the owner to work on.
Oh yeah.
You know, like
yeah, for sure.
They especially when they see me doing it, they're like, well, can my dog do a focus heel? I'm like, yeah, let's see.
Let's try.
Let's figure it out, right? So I definitely think a lot of people sometimes like they want to take it like, okay, well, I know it's a pet dog, but can they do this? Can they do that? And I'm always like,
you can try.
You know,
and then you're doing something like engaging with the dog,
a little bit
like
different,
using their brain. Yeah.
But again, I think if that's all you do, that's where
it makes them crackheads.
And I think it gets too much for them. Where they need time. We're like, hey, let's just go on a walk, and you know, you're kind of like not even in a heel. You're just in front of me, and this is why my flexies. I've been using my flexies a ton. I'm just, hey, we're just on a flexi walk. Yeah, we're just kind of walking and existing together. But I think those moments are super valuable, and like I feel like way at peace when I'm just like, okay, like I don't even have food or toy, like nothing. I'm just walking with my dogs. And they're running around fucking, you know, no rules and shit. But I really enjoy that stuff. So I've been starting to kind of go back into doing stuff like that.
Nice.
You know?
It's good for them. Yeah. It's good for everybody. I make Toma do it. I'm like, no, this is a calm walk. Because he is his dog. You know, he's just like a little crackhead,
little Malinois.
Yeah, he like can't sit still, and he's like just wandering around.
I know the feeling, Toma.
Like you gotta stand still. This is a calm walk. Like everybody's standing still, you know.
It's
like,
tough, man.
We have to act how we want the dogs to act, and he's like, just like,
climbing on the rocks and shit.
Literally like squirming out of his skin. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's tough, especially when like. I feel like that's a common thing with dog trainers. Like, I feel like almost all of us are really like, at least the good ones, driven. And sometimes it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, it's not a directly rewarding thing. Like the reward is like far in the future, you know, so you have to have that like self-motivation to just like continue to show up every day and like train the dog and know that like it's gonna work even if you don't see it like in that moment. You know, kind of the like long-term payoff like mindset of like working out, you know, like if you continue to work out, like you are going to get better. Are you going to see it day to day? No. Not at all. It's going to take a really long time. So you're going to have to do it for a long time with no reward.
Not at all.
You know? So I feel like dog trainers understand like the behavior of that and like long term rewards, you know?
Yeah, and I feel what really helps me going with that is being confident I'm doing the right thing. When I was first starting out, like I didn't have like a real mentor or anything, so like I'm like trial and error, and I'm like, fuck, like do I keep doing this thing because I think it's gonna work, but I'm not too sure. But like now, kind of where I'm at for the most part, I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna work. I just got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So like, there's two different feelings there when I'm like, well, fuck, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing the work, but am I doing the right work? And I think that's where nowadays there's so many communities and Patreons and things like that where you could look and you could see people like me, people like you who have been like, hey, yeah, I tried doing it like that before and that shit doesn't work. So don't even waste your time doing it like that. Do it like this.
Yeah.
And you could avoid all that, what if, type deal with a client. And you could avoid that by, subscribing to new communities and Patreon. I'm subscribing
at least to Shane's community.
I have, but like even me, dude, I know I have at least 5 subscriptions with other trainers.
Yes.
At least 5, whether it's on, most of them are on Patreon, I want to say. But I have at least 5 subscriptions with other trainers. And again, like I haven't been doing this that long, only about 5 years. But just 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of Patreons or things like that were widely advertised.
Yeah.
Maybe there was, but I just didn't know about it, right?
No, I mean, they definitely weren't. This is a very new thing. And also, I think it's going to just continue to grow even more.
Yep.
Which
could be good, could be bad, right?
No, I think it's good because like in the grand scheme of things, you have, well, let's talk about it. Your community. When did you start that?
Oh, I am horrible with years.
It was
sometime last year.
It had to be
like beginning of the year, I would say. Yeah, because I had it. I just lagged on like uploading anything to it.
Okay, yeah.
So
because when I came out here, I was out here in October. So probably around like a year.
I think it was around when I did a workshop in San Jose, because I remember being like, oh, I'm putting all this shit on the community now.
Yeah.
And that's when I started uploading everything on there. But yeah, there's a ton of shit on there. But the benefit to that stuff, guys, is like you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Like you could like learn from it and be like, okay, well, I am going to try it like this with this dog instead, because this is, what Shane or fucking whoever it is. Okay. I hate sounding corny and like keep trying to like put myself there. Right. But like, I'm just trying to put across the point that like there's so many sources to learn from nowadays that I tend to say this. It doesn't have to take you 10 years to learn 10 years of knowledge.
Yes.
I think with how much shit there is out there, dude, if you nerd out and you start reading and fucking watching all these videos, paying for these subscriptions, paying for these workshops, like there's so many things online that are just even 5 years ago weren't as accessible.
Yeah. So you've done a shadow program. We've started board and trains, community. What else have you done in the past year?
My workshops, but I've kind of been on and off with the workshops, but the shadow program was very fun. I honestly feel like I like training trainers the most.
Yeah.
I think I like training trainers more than I like training my own dogs.
Yes.
Like it's something where
it's
I'm
fun.
Like this.
You can like have real conversations with people.
Yeah. And it's stress free because it's not my dog.
Yes.
Like, when it's my dog, I'm like, man, fucking do it, right? Like, come on, like it's stressful. But when it's not my dog, I'm like, hey, listen, relax, like, come on, let's get to it.
It's not that big of a deal.
But like, try it like this, right? So, but the shadow program was very, very fun. I've come to find out through that I really enjoy training trainers because that's mostly who came.
Yeah.
Which I think is very, very good for them.
How many did you run?
I've done 2. I believe 2 so far. My first one, I had about 7 people, and my second one, I had 3. And for the most part, both groups were like beginning dog trainers.
Yeah.
Which, again, guys, I've only been doing this for 5 years. Okay, I haven't been doing it for that long, so it's not like I know everything under the sun, but I know a good amount, and I think I know enough for like beginning dog trainers to come up and learn a ton. Even if they haven't even touched a dog, just hearing all the things that, I've gone through with certain dogs and the things that I've learned, like, I think you could get like a Head Start program.
Yes.
Right. Type deal.
Yes. And I think it's also very valuable because like you're still very like relevant to all of it. Mm-hmm. You're not some just like person who had a dog training company,
That's true.
10 years ago. It's like you're teaching people what
Yeah.
you're doing now.
Yeah, like actively
Yeah.
currently
You're
doing
like,
it.
okay, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like here's what
But that's
what
why again
works.
I have so many videos on the community, because I'm training a lot of dogs and it's all getting up there.
I know.
And this is something you guys like, if you're a dog trainer, you're just starting out, the best advice I could give you is fucking start recording your sessions. Record them and post them. Just record them and post them. Social media has been the biggest help to my career, right? Aside from actually doing the work, but social media has helped it launch. Like I think even last year, I didn't have the following. Like I grew pretty big following within the past year.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And the whole idea of this, guys, is like the followers isn't super important, but what comes with the followers is more people seeing your stuff, more people getting help from the videos you're posting. Right. And then the more trainers I help, the more trainers that help other trainers, the more trainers that help other dogs. Right. I got clients that become trainers. Right. I got clients that start training their cousins' dogs. Right. And so, yeah, you don't have to be social media dog trainer. Like it's not a lot of people's gig. Like you absolutely don't have to do that. But I feel like the more people that see my shit, the more sense that's going to be put in the dog world.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's also why I get so much like internal reward from like helping trainers is because I'm like, all right, inadvertently I'm helping more dogs.
Exactly.
I'm going to teach you
Yeah.
the things and then you can go out and like train more dogs.
Yeah.
It's just like exponential.
Yeah, and it just keeps spreading. But like
Yeah.
we can't sit here and bitch and moan about the dog community when we're not like making an effort to try to like change it and show them something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the social media stuff, it's a chore sometimes, guys. Like sometimes very frustrating, but I think doing it is going to really, really help your business get growing. It's going to bring a lot of validity to your business. I know knowledge is bouncing around.
She's so
it
cute.
happens when you're the queen. But yeah, it brings a lot of validity to your business, especially nowadays. Like I could only imagine like 15, 20 years ago, like what would be better than being like, oh, I could actually see the work that you do. I don't have to hear about it. I don't have to read about it. I could literally see the work that you like. That's everything. I bet 20 years ago, people like it would blow their minds that I could literally see the work that you do.
Yes. That's when I'm like coaching dog trainers, like on the business side of things, that's what I tell them social media is there for. I'm like, social media is your portfolio. Like it is your proof of how you train dogs. Like somebody should be able to see your dogs and like the way that they're trained and see you work with other dogs and like the way that you train before they start working with you. So like whenever I'm doing like consultation calls or like even an in-person consultation, I'm always like, go and follow me on social media before you decide to work with me.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that you like me before we start working together.
Yeah.
And that's like every time I make a post or something, like that's who I'm making it for.
Yep.
And I feel like when you, like talk about it in that way, it's less intimidating for people because they think like, oh my gosh, I'm putting something out there that like everybody's going to see. And it's like, just focus not on everybody, but just focus on like the people that you want to help. Like that's it.
Just one. All you need is one.
Don't talk to other dog trainers. Don't, like you're in your dog bubble. What you see other dog trainers post, like it's to other dog trainers, like you need to post to the people that your business is helping. Yeah. Which I think is what you do really good with and like why your social media has like exploded so much, It's because like you show you working the dogs and you're talking to the people that you're trying to help.
Yeah. And I even do that within the post where I'm like, listen, this is to my trainers.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I'm like making it specific to like kind of who I'm talking to. But I think it's super helpful, man. I'm super grateful for social media. TikTok going away. I'm like, man, my TikTok engagement went down, but it's still quite frustrating. Yeah. Right. But again, too, this is what I've accepted. Like, this is how I get a lot of clients. I don't do a lot of advertisements or things like that. Yeah. So, like, I have made it part of the job.
Yeah.
And that's...
But you've grown your Instagram like massive.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be fine.
No, totally fine. Totally fine. But it's still something that like,
yeah, you
it
have
started
to think
with zero
about,
followers, guys. Like you could
Oh,
do
yeah.
it. You just gotta start fucking doing it, man.
I mean,
just
when
gotta do it.
I like lost my TikTok and I literally had like an identity crisis.
Yeah,
Because
that'd be
like
tough.
not only is that's like the only app that I like consume
Mm-hmm.
content on is
Yeah.
TikTok. So it didn't know like who I was anymore. And then
right.
you're like, oh my gosh, TikTok without an algorithm is horrible. But I had just started posting and it was how I like blew up my Instagram. So I had like 6,000 followers for like a really long time. And I was just running my dog training business. And then I would just post me training clients' dogs. And that's how I would send updates.
Yep.
I'd be like, every Monday through Friday, I'm going to post on my
I got you.
stories
That's
of
cool.
me training the dogs.
Yeah.
So then like it just kind of like all my posts, all my stories, like everything was just to update owners of like, here's what we're doing. Here's why I do this with your dog. Like, here's what we would do with this. And then I started posting on TikTok and something went viral. And then I went from like 6,000 followers to like 100,000 followers in like 5 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just from one TikTok post. And the reason it went viral isn't even because of like anything dog training. It was my leash was like frayed and it looked like there was like a bug on me.
Oh my god.
And so, you know, on TikTok, like some random videos will just like pop off.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, what's on her shoulder? And so it's just like comments and comments and comments. And then luckily I was working at my social media for like a long time. So when people found me through that post, like my followers stuck, right? Because they're like, oh shit, she has like actually a lot of valuable content here, you know, which is what I tell new trainers too. I'm like, look, it just takes one post for like your accounts to blow up. But if you don't have anything there,
nobody's staying,
you know? So like, you just need to keep posting and there's no reward. There's no reward sometimes, you know, like nothing. You just have to keep posting and posting and posting. And then like, you just don't know. Like you have no idea.
Yeah. You have to post everything.
Yeah.
Post everything. You don't know. You don't get to decide what's going to be a good video.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
So like you post everything. Like I posted the videos of Slim chomping. They go crazy, right? But you have to post everything. I'm not a huge fan on purposely posting controversial stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not let's stir the pot to get engagement type of person.
Yeah.
I like just posting like organic shit and like helpful shit.
Yeah.
To where they're like, yeah, like that's helpful, that's relatable, you know, and so it starts to take off. But that's kind of where I drop off right there. Like, I post everything, but I don't try to like post controversial shit to try to get people talking shit.
Yeah. I've started integrating like a couple values. I was like, all right, I don't want to post it unless it's like positive, transparent. Like I go through this, and then I did make that doodle post because I got that text message that day, and that lady just really pissed me off, and I couldn't find her in my followers, so I was like, I'm just gonna post this. Yeah. And then I was like, this isn't very positive of me. I did get a lot of like attention, but I also got a lot of negative attention, and people were like, I hate you, I'm unfollowing you, and I was like, well,
yeah. No, but I think that's I don't think that was just pure controversy.
No, but it's right? like it didn't have like the best intentions. I knew what it was going to do, you know? So now I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, I do think that it's important to just like stay as positive as you can, you know?
Yeah, no, I try my best. Even when I'm replying to a stupid comment, I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to still be respectful. I'm going to still be cool because I'm going to show y'all motherfuckers that we can do it. You don't have to pop your top off on every negative comment and go on a comment rampage. Like, you don't have to. You can take a deep breath. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to learn you something right now.
It's reactivity.
For sure, dude.
It's just reactivity in
but
people.
I feel it too. Like, seeing so many negative comments all the time, I'm kind of defensive when I see a comment that's a little sideways. And it's because I'm just so used to like all the comments, like kind of not all of them. You guys show a lot of love and I appreciate it, but there's definitely a lot.
When Shane breaks the fourth wall,
a little Deadpool out here, Deadpool. But yeah, so like there's a lot of them, and sometimes I'm a little defensive, and I have to catch myself. I'm like, hey, they probably don't even mean it like that, man. Just because the last 100 people meant it like that doesn't mean they do it. I have to catch myself sometimes. But yeah, so I try to keep everything fairly positive and educational. You're going to learn something. Like, you're going to learn something off of every video I post.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you learn how cool something looks or you're going to learn how to do something, you're going to learn something. And I try to keep it that way. But again, I feel like that's where I get a lot of followers who become clients. I'm not out there making a fool of myself trying to talk shit to trainers and fucking start drama. Like, who wants to hire that trainer?
No.
That's not that professional. Like, nobody wants to see, you know, the person they're hiring doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I try to keep it professional. Like, my clients are looking at this. I'm still going to be me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be
but exactly
wholeheartedly me.
That's what I'm saying is people need to put that in their mind whenever they are making their content is like, it's for your clients. It's literally for nobody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Trainers aren't going to be like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm going to hire you. No, the trainer.
Just don't even think about that. Yeah. Everything has to be for the clients. Okay. So you did tell me what like, your shadow program looked like.
Well, compared to yours, it kind of seemed more militant compared to the way.
Oh, mine is fun time.
And mine wasn't so much fun time. It was fun, but it was just, it wasn't the way that you did yours, which I really liked the way that you did yours as well. But I am just so much of I'm a dog nerd. So like, I'm like, okay, we're going to lecture. We're going to work dogs. We're going to watch videos of dogs being worked. Like, that's what we're going to do the whole time. Right. And so, it was good. It was definitely fun. It like all my students, I feel like learned a ton, and I'm still in contact with a lot of them. What's up, guys? Yeah. I'm still in contact with a lot of them. Right. So I definitely like it as bringing a community together.
Yes.
Where now it's like, okay, cool. I just dropped off a fresh 10 set of people into the dog community who have a good idea about dog stuff and aren't just, you know, completely wrong or completely ignorant, arrogant, whatever you want to call it, to like actual dog training shit. And I showed them it. Like we'd have like a client come down that I've never met before. And I would show them how I go about a first session. Okay, so the dog's trying to eat me. This is how I go about that. Okay, the dog's scared of me. This is how I go. Okay, the dog's super friendly, too friendly, and very reactive and jumping on me. This is how I go. So like they got to see it firsthand, the stuff that you don't get to see on social media, right? The ins and outs, the boring shit, right? And so they got to see it firsthand. And I think that's super helpful because I know when I was first starting, like maybe like a year into training, like I'm looking at videos, but I would see a lot of videos of really trained dogs. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're telling me, but my dog never does what your dog's doing right now. My dog's still at the end of the leash reacting, and he's not taking food, and he's not taking a toy. So what do I do then, right? So you see a lot of stuff that, you could learn, but it's not always 100% applicable because not the dogs are all the same. So I bring down these dogs who I've never been trained before. And I'm like, okay, this is how we would handle it from scratch.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's super helpful for them to see because you don't really get to see that. And then I had clients come down who I have been working. And I'm like, okay, this is what it looks like when we start. This is what it looks like when, you know, in the middle of the process.
Yeah.
And I'm showing them, okay, that's why we did those drills on this dog, because now look how this dog handles these situations because we use those drills. Right. So they get to see the progression of the dogs. Right. And so we did that. And then, you know, the fun bite work stuff. Everybody loves getting bit by the boys. Right? It's got to be a dog person thing, right?
Yeah. No, I loved that. Everybody loved that.
Yeah. They
at your workshop, like
same
that was
deal.
Everybody's favorite part.
Yeah. And I think it's super fun. I'm grateful everybody trusts me to let my dogs do that.
But to be fair, I feel like who you are as a person, if somebody signed up for a shadow program with you, like, of course yours is different than mine, you know? Like you have.
That's true.
They know you.
It was expected. Huh? Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, you didn't like take anybody like by surprise with that. I'm sure. Like they knew what they were signing up for.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that's also another really good reason to be organic with your content. So like they're like, yeah, I expected that. That's how your content is.
You're not like selling people. It's like, here's how I am. If you would like to work with me, amazing. This is like you have a general expectation of what that's going to be like.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, too. People like some of these people that are on social media, you meet them in person and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you are not who you are on social media.
I haven't met any other like social media people, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I've met a couple, and some I was like, okay, yeah, you're exactly her, and some I was like, no,
Yeah.
you got a whole facade going, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's something where like, I make sure I'm myself, so when you meet me, you're like, yeah, that's Shane. Like that's totally what I expected, totally Shane.
Yeah.
Right. So organic content super important. But yeah, I really liked your shadow program stuff where you were doing. It wasn't like all dog stuff.
No.
Right.
Well, I basically. So I did my retreat, which was different from my shadow program. I did a long shadow program in January or February of last year in Florida. And that was my long one. So that was basically like, I'm taking you on as a trainer and like, we're just going to work board and trains, so that one was like, wake up in the morning, we would bring a van full of dogs to the house, which were like our board and train dogs. And then we would just train them. I would walk all the girls through like how we would train them. We would do walking drills, e-collar, and just progressed over the week. So they got to see dogs from like start to finish. They got to see dogs like that were ready to go home, like dogs at all different levels, different types of dogs. And it was like the same dogs every day, And so like by the end, like everybody knew the dogs so well, which is very similar to like how a board and train is. So I wanted it to be like a board and train basically. But part of a board and train, which we were kind of talking about earlier of like people are doing too much. I think people do too much in board and train programs. So my board and train program is like, I'm very like slow and methodical in all of my training. I think I'm like changing that a little bit. So I did that with the trainers, right? I was like, we're going to do some sort of physical activity in the morning, go for a long walk, go for a long hike, some sort of activity, come back. We would like have breakfast together. We would take the dogs out, do active training sessions, then go and do lunch. And then we would do like the afternoon training sessions. And then like we would do our nighttime routine, have dinner, and then have like a group discussion type thing. Yeah. So it was very like, it was a lot, but it was very, I don't rush anything. We take our time from step to step, like that's kind of my whole like mentality around training. So I just ran these dog trainers through their own board and train essentially. And then for my retreat, it was more like vacation-y. Yeah. So no dogs for that one. We did have our own personal dogs, which like we would have, like we had Keela, like the little working Mal that we have for working with Mike with. And so like we taught the girls like how to play tug, right? Because a lot of the trainers at the retreat were kind of like me in that it's like slow, methodical, like we're not amping the dogs up a lot. So to teach them the other side of that, of like, here's how you play with dogs, which I think is what you're really good at. And like why we balance each other out very well is like, even the other day when you were walking me through like playing tug, it's like, see, that's shit that people need to know. People need to know how to like properly like play tug with their dogs and like not be, having bad mechanics essentially.
Shit, now you sounded like me. Relax. It's contagious, man.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, of course, this is like extremely valuable. So yeah, it was cool. We got to do that and then more so talk about like the dog training business side of things. So that's where I got to talk about like, here's all the systems that you need in place. Here's how I run a sales call. Here's how I like think about what I want to do for my business, like how I want to structure it, how much I want to charge, how many dogs I want to take on. Like showing them the back end side of the business was more so the retreat. But I feel like yours are very like dog trainer focused. Like you're going to learn so much about dog training. And I think that is valuable too.
And that's the dog trainer's dog barking. Zeus. Yeah. Good boy, son. You listened the first time all the time. You guys saw that video proof. He always listened now. Yeah, right. And this one walking all over the stuff. Come here, girl. Come here. Favorite spot.
Oh, she's so cute.
That's why I couldn't have like she is my dog, but she's obviously my girlfriend's dog, but like she is my dog. But like if I had my own, oh, it might be bad.
Oh,
might
a
be
tiny
like,
dog?
I
Oh
might
my
have
gosh.
like I might have like a bag for it.
Yeah,
and,
no,
like...
the bag that Jordy has, I would have that. I was like,
yeah.
this is what I want. Like
Yeah.
you walking around with your little tiny dog is like my
So
favorite thing ever.
It is so funny. But back to the whole the shadow program. Yeah, I feel like mine was very it was very militant, right? It was very much so like opera conditioning, classical conditioning. Like we're talking about it, but I definitely see the necessity for having something that a little bit more relaxed. Where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like cool, I just fucking word vomit to you guys for the past 3 hours.
That's a lot.
Now let's do a little activity where we're just kind of hanging out and, you know, chit chatting and doing things like that. So I've definitely see where, and I'm sorry to my past shadow students because I see it in their eyes, dude. Like
You're
you can love dog
You're
training, you can love it. Like I went to a Michael Ellis seminar like that, and it was like 5 or 6 days, and like the dog training god to me is in front of me, and I'm getting lost. And I'm like, man, I have been sitting down for too long and I'm in this classroom and I am getting lost. And so I see the value of having like these extracurricular activities.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. No, I had like a slight panic after your workshop because I had like a trainer that I was hanging out with. She told me that she like got in trouble with her old boss because she was talking during one of her workshops, and I was like, oh, I was talking during Shane's. Do you think
is that a thing?
I was like, do you think he hates me?
Oh my god, no.
But I was like, I can't sit still for that long.
No,
like,
it's tough. It is super tough, dude.
I was like, I feel like he would understand that, you know?
Yeah, no, it is super tough, and it's, again, that's the value. Be like, okay, let's fucking stand up and we're gonna do this. You know, we're gonna do this buddy drill or whatever
All right,
the
break.
hell.
Yeah.
And so, like, I definitely see the value in that.
No, I had to give people a lot of downtime because also too, you are very used to the dog life. Like it is,
that's true.
It's kind of like shocking to an average person who's not living the dog trainer life. It's like we take care of dogs the moment we wake up to when we go to bed.
Yep.
If you don't take a break, you're gonna lose your mind. You know, so I was very big about like, all right, hour break, hour lunch. You know, when everybody starts to check out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I get it. I can't.
It's information overload.
This is a lot. Yeah.
And I know I go to where I try to go as many workshops and seminars as I can, like as an audit spot or working spot, and it gets like that where you're like, fuck, man, like this is tough.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep paying attention.
Mike runs, I really like how he runs like his workshops. Mike Jones with Primal Canine. I went to his workshop last year and I was like, wow, this is perfect. He had like little rotations, right? Of like, okay, we're going to do this thing now.
Was that the fight? Was that the fight workshop?
But that's how he runs all of his things. Yeah. It's like, because he's like, no, I can't sit still for that long. Like, I can't expect other people. So it's like, okay, a little workshop and then we take a break. And then a little workshop and then we take a break. And then a little workshop and then we take a break. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I learned so well like this. Like, I can actually like focus. But when you have to like sit in a classroom and like listen to like someone talk about a topic, like I cannot do that.
It's tough. It's tough. It's super tough.
The Michael Ellis one that you went to, that was with the doctor.
Stuart Hillard?
Yes.
Yeah, that one was...
I bet that was dense.
It was very dense.
Like, a lot of information, because, like, they definitely know what they're talking about. But, like,
a lot.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a lot of shit. But, like, I like Dr. Stewart because he's I don't know if he's called a scientist or whatever he is, but he
has his PhD.
So he's a scientist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, he's a scientist, but he's also a military. He was working for the DoD, so that's the Department of Defense. So he was a military dog trainer.
Yeah.
And so I like seeing, okay, well, you actually training dogs and you're a scientist, right? That tells me you're going to know both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. See, that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I went to school. I could get my master's if I went back for a year.
No shit.
I feel like I'd be like, all right.
That's not bad, dude.
I know.
A year? That's it?
Yeah. Like, I wanted to get my PhD.
And how does that work? You could just choose whatever you want to get your master's in, or?
Well, I was getting my master's in biology.
Oh, okay. So you would just finish that.
Yeah. So I would finish that with maybe like I would try to find like an animal behavior lab that I could work with. Because what's really important when you're in your graduate program, or like if you're getting your PhD, is what research you're doing. And that's why that guy is so knowledgeable, is because like, yeah, that's his special interest. That's he's been like researching like day in and day out for the past probably minimum, like, I mean, how old is he?
Oh, I'm not too sure, but a long
Probably
fucking
like
time, 30
his whole
plus
life,
years,
you know,
yeah.
because what you do is you go to school, and then you're typically in like a research lab in your undergrad, and then you get into the same sort of research lab in your graduate program, and then it just like keeps going until like your doctorate and then your postdoc. So he's probably been studying that for literally his entire life.
I think he's still fucking.
I know, that's what's so like impressive.
Yeah, no, it was very informative. Very similar to, you know, K9 Decoded, Dr. Melanie.
No, I don't know who that is.
No, she's been she does a lot of scientific stuff too, and she's been like, she'll go back and she'll go to like a force-free research paper, and she'll like go through it all. And she's like, well, this is why it's not the best example of.
Does she have her doctorate?
She has something. She has some sort of.
That should be me. I should do that.
But I don't think it's related to canine behavior. It's like a general animal behavior thing.
It's probably like a biology thing.
Something like that. I'm so fucking. I did like.
Talking to the front of your mic.
I did there like a month.
Not the top. The front.
The front. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
You see, sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Way better.
I have to remind people halfway through.
Bring
it back up to your face. Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. But
sorry.
No, that's okay.
The research, Melanie.
Yeah, she does a lot of. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember it.
That's okay.
But she does a lot of good stuff, right? And it's important to see like both sides of the spectrum,
yes,
right? Like you have to, and some of it feels good too. Like, cause like going, you know, when I went down there with them, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that with the dogs.
You're like, oh, nice,
like, nice, cool. like I had a feeling.
Validating.
Yeah, it's very validating. Like some of the shit, I'm like, I knew what I was doing was right. I just didn't know exactly why it was working, but I had a really good fucking idea. But like, that's where that scientific, all that research, all that shit, like you read as much of it as you can, right?
Yeah.
And I think it definitely helps you become a better dog trainer, but I think even more so helps you explain it to clients in a simpler version.
Yes.
If you really, really know it.
Yes.
Right? So like I don't have to say operant conditioning not one fucking time to a client. And I'm able to explain exactly what it is, and they don't even know they're learning operant conditioning.
Yes.
Right? But like that's where it stays really simple for them, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. I can keep doing that.
Yeah.
I totally understand it.
Yeah. But that kind of shows that you're like an expert at what you're doing, is that you can simplify complex things, you know, super valuable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would say expert, but I think
you don't think you're an expert in dog training?
I guess define what's an expert, because I feel like a guy like Michael Ellis is an expert, right? Because like if there's expert, well, what comes after expert?
Yeah, I guess.
So I think I'm very educated within dog training, but I don't know if I would say I feel like expert is like your.
All right. We're being humble. We're being humble here. Okay.
I don't know. But this is
well educated in dog training.
Yeah, very much so.
There you go.
And I'm super, super confident in it. Right. So confident I don't have to argue with people in my comments about when they're telling me I'm doing it wrong. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it wrong. That's okay. I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. You know, but I definitely think that's super important. And again, this is something we go through in the shadow programs where I'm like, listen, this is how you need to talk to clients, right? You cannot give them too much to where they're just so overloaded with information. They forgot everything you told them. Like you have to give them a little at a time, and you have to be articulate on how you give it to them, right? They have to understand it, and it has to be super simple.
It has to be so simple.
Super simple.
That's like my whole virtual shadow program is, I'm like, dog training does not need to be rocket science. The simpler we can make it, the more sustainable it is for people. Yeah. And I feel like people get like, they freeze up because they don't know what to do, right? And I'm like, just do anything. Yeah. If you like, you will figure out if that works if you try it. Yeah. You know, just try it. You know, that's okay. You're allowed to just like try things. But yeah, people get very hung up on like, well, I don't know if that's like the perfect way to do the thing. And so then I don't do it. And dog trainers too, I think.
Yeah.
Like dog trainers can sometimes always be in the like, oh my gosh, I need to know more. I need to know more. So whenever I'm like working with newer dog trainers, I'm like, you have to put your shoes in like the role of your client, right?
Yeah.
So like your client doesn't really know that much. Like they don't even know that they like should be creating their like reactive dog that's like barking at the window all day. So like when you help them with that and you crate train the dog and like teach the dog to settle in the crate, like that's going to drastically change that person's life. And it's such a simple concept, you know, of like, oh yeah, this is how we do crate training. Like every dog trainer should know how to do that. So yeah, I feel like new trainers, you often get like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. I don't think I can like help anybody yet, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the same way that you are in a good position to help new dog trainers because you're right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Still doing it.
Yeah, like you're still doing it. So it's the same thing with new dog trainers and like working with owners. It's like you're still doing it. You know, like you were right there. You were right there in that position where you were like struggling with your dog or like didn't know what to do. And like you took the time and you know, got educated and now you know the things and like you can help people not make the same mistakes that you made.
Right. And
you know?
again, like that's where like these other Patreons and stuff, like you guys could see this information already. And you don't like, dude, when I first started, I'd explain operant conditioning, classical conditioning, fucking learning theory to the clients and give them all this crazy homework. And my sessions would be like 2 hours long. And then I see them next week. I'm like, okay, so did you, practice the markers and doing all this? And they didn't do much of anything. Right. And I'm like, okay, I gave you way too much.
Yeah.
I gave you way too fucking much. But I had to learn that on my own.
Yeah.
I had to learn that it wasn't an efficient way to train the people like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's something like through these shadow programs, like being able to offer that to new trainers, I feel like it's super valuable because I'm like, hey, yeah, don't fucking talk their ear off.
Yeah.
Like,
That's very interesting
simple.
because I got into the industry through dog walking. So I didn't know all the terms, but I knew
the stuff,
the people. I knew the people.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
You know, like I knew what was sustainable for people. Also, too, because I saw them every day and I was like in their homes with their dogs. And I'm like, I know what you're doing with this dog.
Yeah.
This dog shows me in its behavior every single day. And I see you like in the home doing these things. And like, I was like doing the things, but I didn't really know like the words behind like what I was doing. I was like, oh, this just works. This is what we're doing, you know, like negative reinforcement. I was just training dogs through negative reinforcement because everybody's
didn't
like,
even know what it meant. Yeah,
everybody's like, my dog won't take food, and it's like, okay, well, your dog is overfed, and you know, if you want to motivate them, you're gonna have to feed them less, and like that would never happen as a dog walker, you know, like. So I was just like, all right, we got leash pressure, so we're just gonna, you know, like train this dog through leash pressure, and then it's like, oh, well, when I became an actual dog trainer, it's like, yeah, I'm just doing like negative reinforcement. That like makes sense, you know. This is like what we're doing. Okay, yeah. So like I feel like you get both camps of people. You get the people who are just like training dogs all the time and like working with the people all the time that don't even know like any of the scientific stuff. And then you have the people who have like spent so much time researching and watching and like taking in as much information as possible. And they're like, I know all of the theory. Yeah. You know, I know all of the theory, but just don't know how to like apply it to real people.
And that's where
and that's what we're going to help you with.
Yep.
In our future shadow program.
Yep.
So I feel like we're going to have a great shadow program because we do balance each other out nicely in our approaches to training, and like how we communicate.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, I didn't really say anything about it, but when you mentioned the business aspect, like that's the part I suck at.
Yeah.
I'm a really, really good fucking dog trainer.
Yeah, you're a really good dog trainer.
But like my business and administration skills, man, I was a kid in high school who would just shove all his papers in his backpack. I had no binder.
I know.
I was just shove my papers in my backpack and I was like, I'll fucking go to the next class. Like,
I know.
I was totally that kid. So I think, I guarantee you, I'm going to learn shit at the program listening to you talk about like,
oh yeah, for sure,
the business and administrative aspect aspects of dog training, which I didn't know were as important as it was until like you started putting me on game with it. Right.
Yeah.
There was another trainer. I'm gonna just plug her in real quick. Natalie, Team K9 Dog Training or something like that. I did a session with her, I would say a couple years ago, and she fucking same shit. She's like, Shane, get it together. She's like, you need to start doing this, that. And I was like, I like training the dogs. And she's like, I get that, but like, this is the other side of the business. And that was still to this day my weakness, right? But I feel like that's where like the shadow program, like you're getting a crash course on that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, these are the mistakes I made within my business. These are the contracts that I had that weren't efficient enough or whatever it may be. You've already gone through it.
Yes.
Right. So we're able to learn that from you. And I think I see a lot of Patreons about dog training, but I don't see a lot of sources on like, okay, well, this is the dog training business side.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to plug my virtual shadow program because that's what that is. Yep. But we're also going to talk about that in our shadow program. So Shane's going to really cover like the dog training side of things. And then I'm going to cover like how we can turn that into like a sustainable business.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing, same with like keeping training simple for your owners, makes it sustainable. It's the same thing when it comes to running your business. If you do not have systems in place, you will not be able to do this. You will be training.
You could do it, but not for long.
Right.
But not for long.
Sustainable.
It's not sustainable. You could do it, but not for long.
Yeah, exactly. Like something is going to happen if you don't have your systems in place, whether like you don't have contracts in place or like it's really difficult to book with you. Like I paid a copyright person, somebody to like write copy for me on a website. And it was so difficult to pay her invoice and to fill out her contract. And I was like, oh, I'm never working with, I can't do this. Like it's so dumb, but it makes such a big difference. Yeah. And like we had a girl, I was doing like a consulting call with another dog trainer the other day. And we had done like a free consulting call previously because she was like, I think I want you to build my website and like set up my honeybook. And I was like, all right, here's the things that we do. I was like, you can get started on this in the meantime. You know, like if you want to open up a honeybook account, like we need you to do that if we're going to work together. But there's a lot that you can like automate and all of that. So anyways, she went and set up her honeybook account and then like integrated her contact form onto her website. And she was like, Meg, I'm slammed. Like I literally have more dogs than I need right now. Like I'm having the opposite problem. So now I'm too busy. I can't do the back end of things and I need you to help me set up automations. Yep. You know? And like, but that's
lifesavers.
Yeah. Like known. You have to have that or like you're going to spend all day training dogs and then you're going to come home at like 9 p.m. and you're going to have to sit on your computer.
Right here on this couch. Like, all right. 12 unread messages from today.
Here we go. Yeah, but like that's a phenomenal problem to have. You know, now your funnel or like your limiting factor and like the success of your business is like you don't have systems.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
So like every day you have to come home and respond to those emails. And that's why when you post, you're like, hey guys, I'm getting back to messages. I was like, why is this even a thing? Why are you even saying this? Like why do you not have automations in place that like people are already like getting responses to? And you're like, I need help.
I'm like, what?
Like, you have to.
I'm like, who's that?
You have to. Like it's genuinely everything. And even in like, so right now I have two businesses. I have like the Everyday Trainer and then me and Tori have the Trainers Collective.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Tori is my assistant. If you've like listened to the podcast, you probably know who Tori is. Everybody thinks that she's like fake.
She's like, a fake person.
No, she
Bigfoot. I've heard of her, but never seen her.
Yeah. Like you'll never see Tori, but like she ran my business. Like she ran the Everyday Trainer. She was the admin person on the computer from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Does she work weekends? No. She will never check her phone on the weekend, you know, but she ran my business. So now we started a business together where we're helping dog trainers with the stuff that we're helping you with. Yeah. So Tori also works with Shane.
Yep. Shout out to Tori, man. Shout out to Tori.
Shout out Tori. She's like
she saved the day a few times.
Literally. Yeah, she's the best. But so her and I are basically all we do is create systems for dog trainers, because what I learned is that people don't want to hire people out to do that necessarily.
Right.
Dog trainers are a little bit controlling and don't want to like give up that side of their business yet. So I'm like, that's fine. If you don't want us to do that for you, that's okay. But like, there are so many automations that you can have in place to save you so much time so that you can spend more time doing what you love, which is training dogs, you know? And I would say like, I love everything that like dog training has given me, but I've always been very business driven. And so dog training was like my outlet for that. You know, and we were talking about that, you know, the other day, and I've definitely talked about it on the podcast before, where it's like, you are so passionate about dog training, like that you are who people should be learning from. Like, I want to learn from somebody who is just like so passionate that it's like all that they
sickening.
Like you have a addictive personality, you know, and luckily it's directed at dog training, which is like a productive outlet, I would say. You know, but like, I do want to learn dog training from somebody like you, because like you can, you know, help me, because you're doing this 24/7, you know? So like, who else out there is going to see the things that you see and like know the things that you know, you know? So I kind of feel that way about like the business side of stuff, is like, I'm very passionate about that. And through that business of like helping dog trainers, I'm able to help more dogs.
You're still helping dogs. Like, it's all connected. And I think that brings up a good point. Like, focus on what you're good at.
Yes.
And if there's things you're not good at,
outsource.
Like, that's it. You could try. I tried, and I'm like, nope, I'm not good at everything. I can't do it all. And you outsource it. But being able to do that, now it takes sweat off my back. And like you said, now I can pour it back into the dogs. Yeah. Right. And I think that's super important. And then to piggyback off of that too, very important to be surrounding yourself by people who are also very passionate. Because like I'm around Oscar, Chris, Roel, like all these other dudes, and like they're all the same. Yes. And so like it just lights the fire. And it's a constant thing where we're like,
who you surround yourself is so important.
Absolutely. And so like it keeps the fire lit. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I don't feel like training it. And then Chris posts a sick ass video healing his dog. I'm like, fuck that. I'm training. Because I'm gonna see him in trial one of these days, and I'm gonna be fucking ready, and I'm gonna be training. Right. Yeah. But it just helps keep that fire alive, and it helps keep you on your toes.
Like accountable.
Absolutely, because they'll check me with shit, you know. They'll check me, but I think that's so valuable too. Is that like we're around people that we trust enough when they're like, hey, checking you on some shit, like, hey, you're doing that wrong, or
you're like,
doing.
Yes,
I'm gonna take it into consideration. I may be a little stubborn about it still, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna think about it a little bit. Yeah. But it's super important to have yourself surrounded by those people. It's hard for me to say, because like I didn't have that, like, for the first, I would say 3. I've only known Oscar 2 years. Right. Yeah. So for like the first 3 years of my training, I didn't have anything.
Oh, really?
So I only known him 2 years. Okay. But maybe 2.5 or 3 now. Okay. But I haven't known him that long. So like my mentor was fucking Michael Ellis, dude, Learberg, and Ed Frawley, if you guys know that guy, because that's who I just watched and learned from. Yeah. Right. And then once I met him, then like I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking this shit serious. Like I already had passion for it, but when seeing like this is what I could do, like look how good his dogs are, and then I see everybody's dogs, and it's like, yeah, I'm fucking training. All the time I'm training. And if for whatever reason those guys unlikely beat me in trial, it's not because I didn't train hard enough. Yes. Right.
Oscar has created some like very good people.
I think Oscar's community is extremely underrated. He does like not his online community, but the trainers that he's put out. Yeah. I think is like that's next level. That's stuff I want to do. We're like I see Chris, because Chris trained with Oscar for a long time.
Chris is such a good dog trainer.
But I see a little bit of Oscar in Chris. Yes. And then I see a little bit of Oscar in me. And like, I think as for Oscar, like if I was in his position, like that's where I feel like, yeah, like I am really making a huge impact on the dog community by producing these trainers who Chris does his workshops. Chris has his online, he has a subscription on IG. Like, I think that's such a feel good thing to do, to be able to be like, yeah, I am creating the community. Like I am creating the next generation of shit. And then like Oscar, he's still doing it though. Like he's still in the mix with us, right? So we're still competing against him, and still, it's not like Oscar's like, oh, I did it 30 years ago. No, he's still doing it, right?
Yeah.
But
okay, Oscar is not that old.
he is not.
Like everybody asks, like Oscar is so old. He's not. He's literally
an ongoing joke. It's an ongoing joke. No, I'm pretty sure he's like 38.
Yeah, like
hey, for the way he works dogs,
he's like 7 years older than me.
I'll tell you what, he gets down and dirty when he's working dogs, man. I don't hear many complaints for that guy at all. But yeah, like the community that he's
he's like created some really good trainers, and then like
and let me add this in, out of the kindness of his heart. Okay?
Oh yeah,
I didn't pay to mentor with him. I didn't pay to like go meet up with him every weekend. Like this is stuff that I bugged the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Like I have IG messages where like I sent him and like he didn't reply. Like I got those messages and shit, but like I bugged him nonstop until he was like, fucking just come down, right?
But that's what he likes. He wants people to put in like
Yep.
the effort. Like he recognizes that. He recognizes when people are putting in the effort, and then he's like, all right, and like really like helps build you guys.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people know. I don't think people know how good of a trainer he is, but not just like in training his dogs, but like in the trainers that he's like trained.
Like I feel like that's a direct reflection.
Everybody needs to go hype up Oscar because I'm trying to get him to do a shadow program.
Yep.
So
go let him know.
Go hype him up and tell him that he needs to do a shadow program.
Because I'm about to start selling his tricks. I'm about to start selling his tricks, man. But like, no, everything I've learned within, like, I would say everything within the protection stuff, everything was from Oscar and Chris.
Yeah.
Right. And like, this is just because he saw that I had the fire, and he's like, yeah, like I want to help you
I'll share the things.
You guys, like, that is not super common in the dog community. There's a lot of people who want to hold on to secrets and not tell people stuff, and I understand it to an extent, but I don't think it's super helpful. I think if we want the community to become better, we have to put in the information, and we have to help teach the people on how to make it better, right? And that's how it keeps growing. But like what he's done for me and done for others, like you can't repay it, right? You can't. And so like super grateful. But again, these are what like these shadow programs could bring to you guys, is like you stay in contact with us. Right, like, I stay in contact with all my shadow program. They're probably like my closest friends, and I don't have any friends. I got people I train with that become friends, but like I don't hang out with people like unless we're doing some shit like some dog stuff, right? But like they've become friends of mine, and I think that's super hard to come across.
The connections that you get from it,
and some of them are local. Some of them could be looked at as my competition, and I'm like, no, fuck it. There's enough to go around.
Oh yeah,
for sure. There's enough bad dogs. Like there's no shortage.
Literally everybody has a dog.
Yeah, there's enough to go around. But I think it's super valuable, and I wish when I was first starting that, even though 5 years ago, I wish I would have joined the shadow program right away.
Yes.
And I would have had some contacts with dogs I had issues with, and like some of my students still text me like, "Hey Shane, I got this dog. What do you think?" Right, and I think that stuff is super valuable. And I'm very, very happy to offer it. I'm always extremely humbled when people show up to my shit. I'm like, damn, y'all care that much? Like, y'all care? I had one girl from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
I was like, you came from Puerto Rico to come fucking learn my shit? Like,
that's amazing.
It was so humbling, and it's like it's a huge wave of imposter syndrome. But it's like, like it's for a reason. It just doesn't happen on accident, and that's something I try to keep telling myself when like people invite me out for workshops and shit. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've only been doing it for 5 years. Are you sure? And they're like, yeah, fucking come down. I'm like, okay, So it's very humbling. But again, I wish I had something like this when I was first starting.
Yeah. Same.
But
that's kind of
it's
how
here now.
That's how I try to like create everything. I was like, what would I would have wanted? Whether I'm like an owner looking for a dog trainer, like what would I would have wanted?
But it's because you were in that perspective, so you're able to see it, and I think that's super helpful. I think a lot of people they're not in the real world sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're giving advice on shit where they're like they're not even in the same world that I'm in.
Yeah. For sure.
Jordy's
look at this little stretch.
And there's them. Hi, Mom. You're good.
Okay, sorry. I was hoping it would be done.
No, we could cut it out.
Sorry. More work. Oops. Did you want the door open?
You can close it. That's fine.
Oops.
Okay.
No, stop. No, get over here.
Dang, she
Grab my computer.
She was all over Meg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she came and sat in my lap.
Nala, you can
Just
go
for a
with her
couple
then.
seconds.
Just go with her there. Dang.
Shaking.
Go your mom. Go your mama. Go your mama.
You snuck.
Zeus, move.
You snuck
Move.
up here.
Move.
Okay, so what can the people expect from doing one of our future shadow program?
I would say expect the unexpected. I'm playing. Nah, expect both sides of the spectrum, right? Like there's going to be lecture, there's going to be hands-on stuff, but there's also going to be things that maybe aren't directly related to learning theory, but it's related to dog training,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So Shane's going to cover all of the like hands-on, like practical stuff, but talk about dog training from the place of you're a dog trainer speaking to an owner, you know? So like if I were, you know, working with a client with this dog, here's what I would say to them, you know? And that's the cool part about like doing these things with trainers is like you do get to talk about it like that, you know? Like it's like, hey, if I'm the dog trainer, here's how I'm looking at things, where you wouldn't necessarily be able to like, you know, talk about everything that you see to the owner, right? Because it might be overwhelming. They might not see those things. It's just like unnecessary information. But like with dog trainers, you like really get into it of like, okay, here's this dog. Here's how we work through it. Like, here's what I would have the owner do. Here's like what the go home session would look like, all of that sort of stuff. So Shane's going to cover the like dog training side of things. And then I'm going to cover the business side of things. So how to turn that skill into a sustainable business for yourself. So the back end, like we mentioned HoneyBook. HoneyBook is our like client management software, right? It's how we send invoices and contracts. And it's like, what were you doing before HoneyBook, Shane? Like, I'm sure you were just taking Venmo payments.
I was doing Gmail and
like,
Cash App.
Yeah. Like, just so unorganized.
Text messages and Cash App.
Yes. Like, no, you have to have contracts. Like, you have to have invoicing and scheduling and
super important.
Like, having all of that set up before you dive too deep is going to help prevent that burnout.
Absolutely.
You know? And I learned that the hard way. Like,
but again, too, guys, it's going to be like, you know, thorough, but we're going to focus on, I like focusing on the retreat aspect of it as well.
Oh, yes.
Where it's like, okay, like we're going to hang out. Like we're going to
Yes.
shoot the shit. I'm going to have Zeus, Slim, the dogs. Like we're going to hang out. And I really want to build more of a community type deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's enough to go around. Right? There's plenty to go around. I want everybody to be able to feel like they have people. I mean,
have friends. Like you have a built-in community of like
Yep.
friends that you can, you know, talk about dog training with or business ideas, or like you have that support. Like I'm still in a group chat with all of my retreat girlies, you know, and like one of them messaged us today and she's like, I'm training this dog and like, you know, we're having these issues. What would you do? And it's like somebody always responds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I
And
think
it's
that's
like,
super cool.
we did the retreat, you know, like 3 months ago, and it's just cool that like everybody's staying in contact and like you have that support, especially in an industry like dog training where sometimes it can feel so isolating, you know, because you're either just like in one-on-one lessons with a client or you're, you know, at home doing board and trains, you know, and you're like, like, you know, just like we were talking about your client earlier, you're like, how would I do this? You know, and it's like you can like ping ideas off of people.
For
and
sure.
That makes better dog trainers. You know?
Yeah. Not to mention, most of us are pretty introverted.
Yeah.
Right. So as is, kind of hard
Yes.
to go and make friends anyway. So like having a
Dog
like-minded
training is the special interest.
Exactly. Having a shared special interest is definitely a good way to make connections. But I think it's super important that we keep building a community, and hopefully, you know, like we're able to show you guys things, and 5 years later, you're able to do your own thing and you're able to show other people things, and we just fucking start drowning the world in good dog training.
Yes. Supportive dog training.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like if that's what we need more of, and that's how we're going to fix a lot of the issues that we have within the dog community of, you know, bad blood or, you know, fucking bad shit happening to dogs and to people all the time.
Yeah.
But if we're not putting that information out there, then fucking how are people supposed to know?
Yeah.
Right? So if we just drown it, if I drown your guys' ears, you drown someone else's ears, and we just keep it fucking going along, then I think the dog community will be all right. And I feel like I'm starting to see that. Like, I'm starting to see a lot of really good dog trainers.
Yes.
And even some fairly young, right? Like, I see some that are like 17 years old, and I'm like, God,
They're
damn.
killing
I'm like,
it.
you're going to be better than me.
Yeah.
When you're my age, you're going to be better than fucking me for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But at like, one, it makes me really happy to see, but two, it lights a fire. And I'm like, you ain't going to be better than me currently, though.
Yeah.
You'll be better than I was when I was that age, but you ain't going to be better than I am now. Right. And so, like, it helps light that fire in me where I'm like, yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah. Gotta keep
pushing.
training.
Keep training. Got to keep working. I got to keep doing all that stuff. But there's I like what I see in the future of dog stuff. And again, I've only been doing it for 5 years, so I can only imagine someone who's been doing 10, 15 years where they see a huge difference, I imagine. A huge difference in the way that the dog training is going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's changed so much just over the past, like, 5 years, I would say.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we're super fortunate. And I hope to be able to provide you guys with some more tools to add to your toolbox to hopefully help out some more clients, help out some more dogs. But it'll be very immersive. All right. But at the same time, Meg will make sure it's
You have
fun and relaxing. And y'all not falling asleep on me because I could blabber on about dog stuff, dude. You saw my workshop. Like, I could go
we'll
on.
do
Like,
sections. Yeah.
Well, like, we could even do rotations, right? Like, a couple hours with me, and then you go over to Meg, and then a couple hours with her, you know, like, kind of rotate.
We're going to
it
make bracelets.
Yeah. I feel like you're like the Mr. Miyagi, where you're like, we're going to paint the fence, and it's going to help us train dogs.
Yeah,
Paint the
literally,
fence.
that's literally how I do it.
And it's going to help us train dogs. So
Oh
I
my
think that
gosh.
stuff's super important. But, yeah, I hope you guys get something good out of it. I'm very excited to do it. Like I said, it's by far my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to train trainers. I love training dogs. I absolutely love it, but I really enjoy training trainers, right? And so I hope to be able to give you guys a little something to add to your toolbox so you could then help out others, help out your business, and then, keep passing it along.
Yeah. So we don't have a set date yet. Our limiting factor on this is the stay. So we want it to be like very similar to my retreat where we're staying all at one place. I think that's a huge part of it is like hanging out with everybody at the end of the day and like having dinner together, and like I do think that there's like so much value in that. So we don't have a set date yet, but I'm gonna put this out there as feelers. If you have a place that we can host, we're looking for something in the LA area can host about, I would say, 12 people, anywhere from like 6 to 10 bedrooms probably is what we're looking at that allows dogs. That's been like the toughest part. I would say we found some, but as soon as we get that booked, we'll have a set date for everything and we'll be able to release that. But what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a link in the show notes for a sign up. So if you are interested in doing our next retreat, go ahead and submit your email and your contact information in that link that's in the show notes, and we'll send you you'll be the first to know of dates and sign up and how much everything costs and all the details about it. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, you're a new dog trainer or you're getting really into dog training and you want to learn, more advanced stuff, you want to see what we're doing, you want help with the business side of things, leave your contact information and we'll let you know as soon as we've got all of that set in stone.
Yeah, I'm thinking for sure like beginning of next year, whether it's like January, February, March, but somewhere in the beginning.
It just depends on when we can book the things.
That'll be the biggest thing.
Yeah. It's tough. Dog
No,
training.
it's
Dog
the dogs.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
Dog stuff. I had
It's
a
the dogs.
horror story from my last Airbnb from my shadow program. I told you.
Oh, yeah.
Like they agreed to it at first and then afterwards like they lied about the number of bedrooms, and so then like Tori went and left a review, and she like didn't even give them a bad review. She was just like, "Hey, like this is not the correct number of bedrooms." And then they went and like they're like, "You owe us $2,500 because you had this many dogs in, and we said no dogs." And I was like, "Actually, I have proof that you did say." That's why I was like, "If you get the Airbnb,
Get over here, dude. Come on." Come on, you bad boy.
That's why I was like, if you get an Airbnb, you need to make sure that in writing it says that they're okay with the dogs. So it's just,
Yeah, no, super
that sort of
important, but
stuff.
very
yeah.
fucking difficult sometimes.
Yeah. We'll let you all know about that. Keep up to date with Shane in his online training community.
Shane W. Murray for my IG, for my TikTok too, and for my website, for my community, fucking everything. But yeah, I got a lot of good stuff on there, guys. I understand. I'm completely aware that my pricing has definitely increased over the years. So I do have other more affordable ways of learning together, right? And that's something that my online community, I mean, it's $30 a month. You could literally fucking buy it one time. I don't care if you screen record every fucking video and then unsubscribe. Like, it's not a huge deal for me. It's more important to me that you get some good dog training advice and you're not fucking your dog up or making shit harder for you and your dog.
Yeah.
Right? So like there's a lot of stuff on there. And I plan to be doing some virtual shadow programs right when I learn a little bit more from you.
When I help Shane, Shane set up his virtual shadow program is when that will happen.
Yeah, when Meg decides, that's when we'll do our virtual shadow program. But for right now, check out the community, guys. There's a lot of stuff out there. Reactive dog training, fearful dogs, advanced obedience, my sport dog stuff. I'm trying to give you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, Shane's got a lot of stuff in his community, so I'll put that in the show notes as well. And for me, we are doing our next virtual shadow program the second week of January. So I believe it's January 7th. We're starting on a Monday. So if you are, looking to get into dog training, you're a new dog trainer, want help with, the dog training stuff, the business side of stuff, same sort of thing that we're going to do in our shadow programs / retreat. We can do all online. So I have a 3-week program that's starting second week of January. We are doing open interviews for that right now. So you guys can always visit my website and check all of that out and sign up for a call with me to make sure that it's a good fit. So I think we've plugged all of our things.
Yep. Like a fucking
we're a little infomercial there at the end. But
I don't like the way it makes me feel. But part of the business,
important.
guys. We got to do that cringy shit sometimes, man.
Shane is growing. Shane is growing as a business owner.
Yeah,
so you can too.
And you can too. Call 1-800.
Visit the Trainers Collective.
Yeah, that is funny.
But yeah, you got anything else to add?
No, that's good. Just keep on keeping on, y'all.
Keep on keeping on. Keep training.
Life's a garden. Dig it.
Life's a garden. Dig it. I love you. We will see you next time.
Peace.